Congressman Dennis Kucinich. Thank you very much, and I'm so grateful to be here, and I want to, first of all, salute all those from Maine who have gathered together to defend our Constitution. Please join me in saluting the troops of my wife Elizabeth, thank you for being here, Elizabeth. And thanks to each one of you for being here. There's something very special about Maine. I first understood that years ago in 1964, the first time that I came here to visit my aunt and uncle who had moved from Cleveland to Bangor. And they have both since passed, or quite recently, but I have many relatives who live in the northern part of Maine. And through the years, I've developed a close connection and affinity for Maine in understanding the spirit of Maine, which is really a very powerful, independent spirit. It's a spirit of connection with the land and nature, and it's a spirit of connection with a sense of community, a sense of decency, a sense of honor, which really permeates the citizenship and the public involvement of the people of this great state. Having traveled all 50 states, I would say that you certainly have something special here. And it's reflected in the kind of dynamic civic involvement of this movement. I understand it. I understand it in a deep way because I understand the yearning that you have. To have a government that reflects your deep values. This moment, then, isn't so much about who they are, the individuals whose conduct that we find not to be honorable, but it is about who we are. It is about our aspirations. It is about our honor. When you think of those words that led us to our Constitution, founders pledging to each other mutually lives, fortunes, sacred honor. We are the heirs and heiresses of very powerful civic tradition, of unity based on high principles, of unity based on a celebration of and adherence to the law, of unity which comes from a deep love of country, not for the purposes of waging a war against innocent people, but a love of country which comes from an understanding of the capacities each of us has to elevate the purpose of the nation. So this moment, which brings us together, is about who we are. It's about what we stand for. It's that we stand for a government which is honest, a government which is true, a government which is decent, a government which is compassionate, a government that understands practical aspirations of people for job security, for education, for health care, for housing, for retirement security, for a clean environment. This is really about about who we are, about our deep yearning for a government that does not impose fear on its people, for a government that doesn't have to rule by trickery, for a government which respects the intelligence of its people, for a government that doesn't play with its people's emotions. This is about who we are and what it is that we expect. It's about the precedent we would set if we fail to act, that future presidents or vice presidents would feel that if one can lie about a war, cause the deaths of more than 3,400 of our brave men and women who served, ruin the lives of tens of thousands more who are permanently injured, destroy the lives of over 1 million innocent Iraqis, all of whom are very much like us, all of whom have families and dreams and had houses and plans for the future, who spoke a different language, who may have a different religion, but who are bound to us in a human experience, their lives ruined is a lie. The cost to the people of this country, over $800 billion by the year 2008, perhaps as much as $2 to $3 trillion in total. While our schools lack funds, while our infrastructure crumbles, while millions of our fellow citizens don't have the health care they need. This is truly about who we are, and about reasserting the primacy of public control and governance. This week in Washington, on Wednesday, I will take to the floor of the House of Representatives and make the case of not only the connection of this war for the administration's desire to control the oil assets of Iraq, but also to make the case that this government at this very moment is laying the groundwork to try to privatize Iraq's oil so that the war eventually could be for the benefit of international oil companies, including those in the United States. This is not who we are. This doesn't reflect our hearts. This doesn't reflect our values. It doesn't reflect our dignity. It doesn't reflect the love which we have for each other. It doesn't reflect the love which we have for our fellow human beings. It separates us from the world. We must not let this conduct that is reflected in those who are in the White House to describe who we are, nor must we let it stand as a precedent to describe what is appropriate conduct for any future chief executive. That's why, in the Democratic debates in South Carolina, I raised my hand when it came to testify to standing for accountability. And at that moment, I pulled out a copy of something that I always carry with me. And that is a copy of the Constitution of the United States, because this document is what created this nation. It is what bound us together in a mutual intent to celebrate each other, to celebrate the deeper meaning of human unity, to celebrate a nation of laws, to celebrate the potential of America. This document would later on become the answer to Lincoln's prayer of a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This document, this Constitution, is what we shall stand upon to reclaim our nation, to rebuild our institutions, and to reclaim our role in the world as people who stand for truth, who stand for justice, and who insist that no one is above the law. Thank you.